Hey, my friends. Welcome back to Notes from the Edge. I am your host, Lisa Lacy, and this is the place where we talk about the things we should have been talking about all along. We have the conversations that we aren't having in here. And today, my guest is David Sichel. And David is the founder of Blueshirt Media, a HIPAA-compliant AI call answering and admissions support platform created specifically for addiction treatment centers and behavioral health programs. Now, the platform answers inbound calls around the clock. It supports multilingual intake, reconnects with people whose previous inquiries went unanswered, and transfers qualified callers directly to admissions professionals that can help them. His mission is deeply personal. Before entering his own long-term recovery, he reached out for help with his own addiction and did not receive a response. And he describes himself as having once been a dead lead in someone's CRM, a real person who asked for help but was nearly lost inside the admin system. And this experience became the foundation for his work. His technology has helped treatment providers handle hundreds of monthly calls without missed inquiries, reconnect with thousands of inactive contacts, and facilitate live conversations between people seeking treatment. And David, I don't know if you know this, but my husband and I both met when we were 30 days clean and are now celebrating 8 years of recovery ourselves. So
Congratulations.
I thank you. I absolutely know what it's like to be on the receiving end of needing the help
Mhm.
and not knowing where to go to find the help. So let's talk about that because that happened to you. Take us to that moment when you were ready, you knew you had a problem, you needed the help, and it kind of fell through the cracks for you. Kind of walk us through that moment.
Yeah, sure. I mean, being in recovery and people that may have loved ones in recovery or may not just understand recovery because they're in themselves. As addicts, we all get that moment of clarity, we call it in recovery. So I had that moment of clarity. So my history is I was clean a long time for many years at a young age, and then relapsed and then we got clean again and relapsed again. And this is my third time. Third time's a charm. But when I was trying to get help, I reached out to a treatment center in what I believe at the time was my last moment of clarity, and I couldn't get a hold of them. And
Mm,
then uh, I was never contacted back.
mm,
So it's not the treatment center's fault. I could have just called the next morning probably, but the fact is that today we have technology that could prevent that and get me in my moment of clarity, because what I needed actually was another moment of clarity to finally go to treatment. And
yeah,
so yeah, so that's really how it was for me.
yeah, yeah. Let me ask you this: you called, they weren't there. Nobody called you back. What kept you moving though? What made you not give up in that moment?
Well, here's the thing. It's a little bit more like a lot of people hit like what they call, bottoms, where they're like they go to jail or they get divorced or whatever the traumatic event was. And my situation was a little different. It was I would say about 6 to 8 weeks later, right?
Mhm.
I went a different route this time. I went to a meeting this time that I had gone to, years before, and the people in the meeting, the people in the meeting were what we call 12-step me,
Mhm.
which is helping me to get treatment and talk me into going to a detox. So so it was kind of a different moment of clarity. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know I had the moment of clarity till I was on my way to the detox. It all just went so fast. But my point being, it wasn't. at the same time, and and I understood it then. Maybe it just wasn't my time right at that point. But like I said earlier, with our technology now, you don't ever have to be where I was before.
I
You know,
love that. I love that. So, treatment centers sometimes call people like that, somebody they lost or didn't answer, didn't get in touch with, dead leads.
mhm.
But you know they're not paperwork, they're not a number, it's a living human being that really needs help. What does that language reveal about the places where healthcare systems can lose sight of humanity? This is so important. This is actually what my memoir, Notes of a Certified Mad Woman, is about.
Oh wow,
It takes a look at, we're launching in October for pre-sale,
wow,
but it takes a look at the psychiatric arena from a psychiatric patient's perspective. And there are some, your first of all, your dignity is left at the door,
right.
and there's a lot of inhumanity in the system.
Yeah. So I think treatment centers do as good of a job as they could. There's people like what you do and what I do. There's people that do that stuff that are really good and caring about it. And then there's people on the other end of the spectrum that couldn't care less, like you would find in any job. But my point, what I'm saying is the treatment centers, what I realized was the treatment centers don't have what they call bandwidth, and that is, well, a lot of people know what that means, but I used to think it had to do with the computer, like how much bandwidth, but it's not. It's your phone. Like in my story, I always talk about before COVID, I had a business called Sober Transport where I took people to treatment, and the thing is just getting people from the door to the car, which is
Yeah.
sometimes the longest mile of, if you've walked it, kind of thing. And I was able at that point, and why I say that is I was able at that point to work with admissions departments. So if you have experience or people have experience with admissions departments, they're very overworked people, and
Yeah.
there can't,
And
there's
there's
calls,
only so many of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's calls coming in all day. And me and I could be on an admissions call, and you could be on an admissions call, and what happens is the person I'm talking to has to get their insurance card. The person you're talking to has to read their insurance card. 90%. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing 90% of people that call treatment centers, in my case too, are high anyway. They're drunk or high or whatever. So yeah, so they're spread pretty thin, right? So I
Yeah.
look at them as like inactive, right? Because we never want them to really be dead, and they could be. So what happens is that same scenario I just used. I said like you're on the phone with an admissions person, they have to get their card, they come back and they just hang up on you, right?
Mm.
So what'll happen is a lot of the centers I work with, they'll dial that number back. If you're an addict in 2026, you're never answering your phone ever, right? You're never going to answer probably don't answer it when you're, normally. But what I'm saying is, so what we've done is we figured out a way to engage those people, not all of them, and not all of the responses we get are great. But what we do is we engage those people with text message marketing, right? So
Ah, I love it. So you are still reaching out to them, like, "We see you. We hear you. You're
yeah,
there."
and
Yeah.
and if you're under 50 years old, that's the only way I'm getting a hold of you anyway, is
Yeah.
via text message. Nobody wants to talk. And I always use this scenario. What about the kid, let's say 20 some years old, trying to get clean all the time, and his phone rings and it's a treatment center. He's uncomfortable talking. But what
Yeah.
if I text him? Kids are texting the whole time anyway, when they're even eating dinner or whatever. So yeah, so we feel that we engage via text, it's not as threatening, right? And what we do is the AI that we have is trained to engage them via text message.
I
So
love that.
it gives a lot of different scenario. It has really every scenario that they could say, because in any business, not just recovery, but most businesses, people ask 90% of the same question. In
Mm.
recovery, it's more like, can I bring my Red Bull? Can I bring my dog? Can I girlfriend? There's a lot of that too. So what I we do is we engage them, and we have a lot of data, anonymous data, because we don't hold on to the data. Um, Anonymous data of what people are actually saying. We just don't have who's saying it because it's not important to us. So
Right.
I say that is because we're able to take that data and even refine the AI for
As you
maybe
go.
as you go. Certain areas of the country are going to answer certain questions. Are going to ask certain questions. I mean, not it's not too far out,
Yeah.
uh, but certain people, the time, in recovery, probably a lot of people who have been to 9, 10, and 20 rehab centers, and there's those people. And then there's maybe you, let's say, that you're calling for the first time and you think it's a place with swimming pools and, that's what they tell you on TV. So what my point is we engage them, we bring them back to a text message with the goal. And the goal is this: we want to ring admissions phone or have admissions come in, a person come in and take that text over. And,
I love that.
yeah, so
I love
AI
that.
is basically qualifying you, finding out not what I want to know about you, but what's important for them. Centers have different levels of where they want to engage a call. Some are really strict where they're like, look, if they don't have this insurance or that insurance, and they're not cold, a lot of these places, they'll text you like we have it set up that if we can't help you, private pay insurance rehabs don't always take state insurance, let's say,
Right.
or whatever. So if we have it set up that if you're in that case and we can't and they can't help you, they have other resources that they'll send you to, you
I
know uh
love that.
yeah, so they're not taking the time with a person on the phone. So yeah, that's what we do. That's how we re-engage people.
I love that. Use text message. It's brilliant. So simple, but so brilliant. And you're spot on. And especially us catching the younger people. Boy, oh boy, if we can catch them early, we
Yeah.
can save them years of turmoil. So, what should happen if somebody calls the center at 2 in the morning? What happens?
What should happen is, well, couple centers work different ways. First of all, one of the biggest myths about AI that I want to just hit address head on right now is that the AI replaces people in treatment centers, because you'll turn on the TV and you'll see AI took this job and that job and this job and they're coming for your job. We don't do that. We're not admissions people like we're an AI thing. We identify ourselves as AI. We don't say that we're a person. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference, but still we say it. Um,
Nice.
and the point is that what our goal is to at 2 in the morning, some centers would have 8 or 10 people on at 2 in the morning, and now they might not need as many people at 2 in the morning because, and some keep the same amount of people. But what the AI does at 2 in the morning is the same thing it does at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that is it takes the call and it qualifies the call. What the treatment center
So
wants
that
to
you can send the person to the right place for them.
right person. Yeah, and some
Yeah.
people. So if let's just say you have a center that doesn't, you can't connect with anybody at 2 in the morning, a live person. So what we'll do is we'll set a reminder via text message because in today's world, especially in medical field, like the HIPAA laws, the privacy laws, all that, you really need to be on board with people's privacy. And so we do in the beginning of a call tell them it's recorded, and we ask them if they want to opt in for text messages, right? And if they do, we send them a summary. But and that's great via text message, like emergency numbers, things like that, and the treatment center's number, what time to call. But we can also, some centers have 9 a.m. whatever time they open, reminders. to call,
I love
so
that.
yeah,
I love that.
whatever.
So nobody's ever left behind. I love that. So your technology may prevent a call from being missed, but no technology can repair everything, right? So what is the larger conversation we need to be having about access and what happens after somebody is admitted?
Yeah, I really, to be honest, first of all, I have a client that's actually, of all places, down the street from me, right? And even crazier than that, if it's not the ultimate, like gratitude thing from being in recovery, that was my rehab 12 and a half years ago. So I
Wow,
actually sell to my own treatment center from
that's
all those
pretty
years.
cool. Full
Yeah,
circle.
yeah, full circle. And it's nice because when I go in, you're going through admissions and you see the people, just coming in, Henry said, just like I did. And yeah, brings you back, and but what I they had a certain situation, and that was, and we do this, across the country, but I just want to hone in there. They have a little bit different than a treatment call. They have a DUI line, right? So, in this county here where I am, a lot of people don't. There's not a lot of million. Everybody can't have DUI services. Only a couple of people get it, and this rehab gets it. So they were answering 15 calls a week, right? The problem was they were getting 130. So over
Wow.
12 months, okay, we've missed zero calls, zero, none, not one.
Wow.
Yeah, so technology, we can answer every call. There's not like we don't miss a call. It's technology, so it's literally impossible. Some of the bigger centers are comforted, like to know, which we do is an AI can answer 200 to 400 calls on one line simultaneously.
Yeah, of course.
So
We
yeah,
use it
so
as a tool, but we don't replace humanity with it. I love it. I love
yeah,
it. Yeah.
so the next step of treatment, I'm really, to be honest, I'm really not involved in it. I have no like, I only have my personal experience, and I believe for myself, and many of my friends that have been on the, they're in the same path that I am, that are clean a long time, that are doing well, in recovery. We all went to it, and everybody has their own path, but we all went to a 12-step program that was
Mhm.
really staying involved in a 12-step program, being involved daily, you're not daily anymore, but a few times a week. That's helped us. There's other people that go to church,
Yep.
so, or whatever it is. So, whatever path you're going to choose, that's your path. And without a path, you'll never, I
Pick
don't
a
believe.
path and do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
pick a
if you're
path.
not doing
Yeah.
anything, you get a lot more than you put in, but you got to put in something. You got to
You
show
gotta
up.
start. Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta show up. You gotta
yeah,
start. All right, my friend, before we close out, how can people find you? How can they find more information about the system and about what you're doing in the world?
sure. Well, I'm at blueshirtmedia.com, and I do have the blue shirt today,
I
by the way.
saw that. That's
Yes,
fantastic.
and not every podcast I wear it for. So if you want one
Ah, I
for,
feel special.
yeah,
I
you
feel
should.
special.
Um, yeah, so blueshirtmedia.com. Go to my site. There's demos on my site. You could hear what the AI sounds like. There's links to book a demo with us, and I really feel like I'm very active on LinkedIn. So you could find me, and we could help you.
And we're
Um,
going to put links, guys. You don't have to write that down right now. This is going to be links in the description as this goes out. So, David, before we go, we have two questions. We always close out with our guests. The first question is, what did you perform in your life in order to try to survive? And how did dropping that mask, that role, or that performance help you?
Well, I mean, not just because I'm on this podcast, I'll say that, but I believe it's my recovery that
Mhm.
there is a very lonely feeling in this world when you're doing things like while you're doing things like like using all the time or stealing to use or like things that I did in my addiction, that brought me to a point. And when I surrendered to the addiction, then I was able to be beyond what I ever thought I could be. If you would have asked me at 30 days clean what I wanted to do, like what I wanted, I would write down sleep through the night, like
I just need a good night's sleep, guys.
yeah.
I love it. I love
And
it.
here I am, in
With
the
a whole
field.
system that's helping thousands and thousands of people. That's
Yeah, I just
amazing.
want to say one thing too that I always say at the end is for people like they always ask me too a lot of times is, if you're looking for help, there's always help available, whether you go to a
Mhm.
priest, a 12-step meeting, a rehab, you can even call 2 a.m. at some places. Uh, but just don't sit in it, right? Just
Yeah.
get help, and
Show
really
up. Start.
that's what
Take a
I like to
step.
say. Yeah. So if I can do it, really anybody can do it.
Same. Same, my
Yeah.
friend. And I was pretty bad off too. I almost lost my freedom over it. So
Yeah.
we're so lucky to be here and so fortunate. All right. What do you wish we were talking more about? What conversations do we need to be having more?
Yeah, this one has evolved over the years, but it just at about 10 years clean, it hit me really bad, and that is mental illness.
Mm,
I think that personally, not as a very unmedical opinion here, I'll tell you that I believe that we have mental issues, right? That's the top of the chain, and then we act out through our addiction,
yep.
and then we come in and we try to get help for addiction, but we never work on the major problem, and we wonder why
We
we
can't
feel
continue to stay in sobriety,
yeah,
right? When
exactly,
I
yeah.
went to, I started my healing journey at 40 years old, but I went to a dual diagnosis
Oh,
inpatient
that's
rehabilitation center.
that's good.
Yeah, so it helped with both. But my friend, I went in thinking I had a slightly bad marriage and maybe a drinking problem and came out with a chart this thick. So
Yeah,
there was
yeah, I
a,
get it. It's
yeah,
scary.
there was
Yeah,
some
but I
things I
mean,
needed to fix.
I think I originally got clean in 1980 the first time. I know I look 29, so you're wondering how that was possible. But um, mental illness in recovery uh, has come such a long way. But when I was 10 years clean a couple of years ago, and I fell into a clinically bad depression,
Mhm.
I I didn't really know what to do, and I
Yeah.
was just as bad in my addiction. It was dark, it was really dark,
And
and
I think many times the two go hand in hand, and that's a beautiful answer. I think we do need to be discussing mental illness within the addiction recovery community. So, well, my friend, thank you so much for joining us today. Friends out there, for you guys, don't forget, ask yourself today, what are you performing in order to survive? And is it still serving you? And if it's not, what great things can happen in your life if you drop the role, the mask, or the performance? Until next time, I'm Lisa Lacy. Welcome to the Edge.